A quick review. There are, as I mentioned earlier, there are 17 odd numbers, and there are 12 even numbers, and there are 12 names. So this the numerical, that is enumeration that you will see, Ekachame 1, Tisrachame 3, Panchachame 5, all this enumeration follows the Sankhya Shastra, or the how the creation takes place. So I pointed out an interesting grammatical point here, that it starts with Eka Chame. Eka is a feminine gender. So feminine gender has been used in the Rudra, in the Chamaka Prashna, because it now represents the Prakriti, Mula Prakriti, which is a feminine quality. Because the Mula Prakriti has the potentiality of Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. All these three powers are embedded in the Mula Prakriti, and it is Eka. Then we also saw that Tisrachame, the three represent the Sattva, Rajas and Tamogunas, and so on and so forth. So we have been studying 5 will become, the 3 will become 5, it's called Vikara. The 5 are the Panchabhutas, or the 5 potential elements. And then it will be manifest into actual Tanmatras. Tanmatras means the elements which hold the capacity to disseminate form, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sparsha. So all the 5 transactional potentialities. So 5 plus 5 plus 5, our own sense organs which can receive them. So therefore Panchadashachame. So we saw all those, and then now we have got to come to the 10. The Pancha Pranas. The Pancha Pranas are, as we know, Prana, Apana, Vyana, Udana, Samana. Then it also is added with Pancha Upapranas. Pancha Upapranas, the reason why they are called as Upapranas means, unlike pranas which have to exist at all times, otherwise there will be no life at all. It ends life. But the Upapranas are occasional. Occasional Upapranas which preserve our body in times of certain aberrations. For example, we have Naga, Kurma, Devadatta, then Grikala, Dhananjaya, and such names are there. So they actually, what they mean is burping, blinking. You have to burp sometimes, you have got to blink, otherwise the eyes will get dried up, yawning, sneezing, opening and closing of the heart valves. All these things are called Upapranas. As you know, these are to preserve our life force. So this is, then the next is Trayodashachame. The 13 are called as the Karanabhimana Devatas. Karanabhimana Devatas is the energy that is there in our sense organs. For example, there are 5 Jnanendriyas. So how do these 5 organs of knowledge function? There is a Shakti behind it. And then the 5 Karmendriyas, organs of action, there is a Shakti behind it. And behind Manas, Buddhi and Ahankara also, there are powers behind it called Pushya, Yugandhara, Sankhini, and then a lot of names are there. Don't get too worried about those names. I can give you all those names, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just enough to know that all of these also have to have the derivative of Ekachame. The derivative of the original Shakti has got to be there in proper proportion. Because all the manifestation of Shakti is limited by the dimensions of the container, and therefore there should be neither too much of that energy in a given container, then it will burst. Then there should not be too little also, then it will collapse. So just as you have to blow the balloon just the right amount. So it is similar to that. These powers, as I mentioned, Pushya, Yugandhara, Shankini and others, make sure that all our sense organs, organs of action, manas, buddhi, ahankara, depending on whatever is our content, to that extent they fill up with the energy. And that means there are the yogika arthas are there, yogika meanings are there, sankhya meanings are there. So you can go, as deep as you would like to, but we will limit the scope to this. Then the 17 organs, the 15 that I mentioned above, you add to that the Vijnanamaya and the Anandamaya koshas, because these 15 already contain the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya koshas. So, but then we have, the previous number did not include the Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya koshas. By adding it, Panchadashachame becomes Saptadashachame. Then Navadashachame, the 19 are actually relates to medicine, the various Aushadhas. So Ayurveda Shastra lists 19 major Aushadis, and they are called as Mahaushadis. That means the Primal Aushadis. So it is these 19 are combined in different ways to create the medication in Ayurveda. So again, if we expand this too much, we will go into whole of the science of medicine. The idea is that all of these things are required for us for the sake of yajna. We should not forget that. Because unless we have got strength, health, wealth, there is not possible to worship. For worshipping, we need to be in a very comfortable state of both the body and mind. And therefore, we identify all of these numerically. For example, just to give you a clue, the various Mahaushadis are like Sanjeevini, Pranaviropini, and then Sahadevi, Brahmi. You might have heard of Brahmi Taila, right? That Brahmi fundamental Mahaushadi. So all of these things are enumerated in the 19. And the 21 also relates to Vaidya Shastra, and they are called as the 21 Marmasthanas. So in the anatomy and physiology of Ayurveda, they have these 21 Marmasthanas, and these 21 give rise to 23 Maharogas. It's not functioning properly, gives 23 Maharogas. After all life has to come to an end, and according to Sankhya, nothing can happen without a cause. So the Aushadis will make sure that we are alive. Aushadhi means not just external medication that we take, even the food we eat, that itself produces the Aushadis. And as long as our Ayushya, our longevity is still there, our health is still there, our existence has to continue because of karma, those Aushadis will become effective. Then the Aushadis will become ineffective, and therefore the Maharogas will come, and all end of life will come because of one or the other of these 23 Maharogas only. That is the point of Vaidya Shastra. Then the 25, incidentally, are the various apsaras who actually inhabit our senses, our emotions. There are 25 kinds of emotions are identified by the Shastra. All of these 25 kinds are occupied by the various apsaras. For example, Manas is Urvashi, Buddhi is Tilottama, and then the tongue is Sukeshi. So all of those apsaras actually reside in us. So please don't go looking for them in the Then the 27 are the various inflections of sound that we can bring out in our voice. So an accomplished an accomplished musician will be able to bring out all these 27 inflections of their voices, and that is because of the Chitrasena and other Gandharvas who reside in those various inflections of our voice. Then the 29 refers to the various vidyas. Now we come to the different kinds of knowledge. There are 29 kinds of knowledge is identified by our by our Shastra like Jyotishmati Vidya and others. So I'm just giving you 1 or 2 names as a clue. Those of you who want to go deeper, let me know. I will give you the whole list. Then there are 31. The next one is 31. Ekatrimshashchame. 31 are the 14 lokas. And there are other lokas beyond these 14. That is 7 lokas, Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Satala, Patala towards down. And then you have Bhurbhuva, Suraha, Mahajanaha, Tapa, Satyam. It's not just 14, but there are also like Vaikuntha Loka, Goloka, Manidvipa, and Shastra identifies a total of 31 lokas. And that's what this mantra talks about. Ekatrigam Shashchame. Trayastrigam Shashchame, that is 33, refer to the 33 primal gods, deities. 8 Vasus, Ashtavasus, 11 Rudras, that's why we chant Rudra 11 times. There are 11 Rudras. I can give you the names of those Rudras also. On the Vasus. And there are 12 Adityas. And there are the plus 2 Ashwini Devatas. So therefore 8 plus 11 plus 12 plus 2 is 33 Devatas. This is a very famous conversation in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad with Yajnavalkya. Then let all of these bless me. That means here is the theoretical background. There has to be a physical location which is given by Prakriti, and that location must be energized by a Devata. So Vastu, physical thing, energized by a Devata, second factor. Number 3, there must be another Vastu or another element, another physical thing that relates to this. For example, I am hungry, and therefore here is a Vastu that is hungry. Then there is food. It is a Vastu. And what is the relationship between the hungry Vastu and the hunger removing Vastu? There is a relationship, isn't it? Not all Vastus can become hunger removing Vastus. And therefore a Sambandha is created. So that's called a Sambandha Vastu. So Devata, Sambandha Vastu, that means there is an organ and a corresponding thing. Then it must happen only in a particular location called Sthana. And this relationship has got to be governed by a law called Dharma. So in this whole of this Anuvaka you will see Devata, Sambandhavastu, Sthana and Dharma. All these are pointed out to us because the Anuvaka takes it for granted that we know all these things. And that's why it simply says, all this you give me for yajna. So then, this existence of an object which desires for something, then the existence of an object which satisfies this desire, the dharma that a desire arises, the dharma that a desire can be satisfied. Now, are you seeing the relationship? A dharma that the desire can be satisfied. Suppose you have a desire for something and there is no object whatsoever in the whole creation that can satisfy that desire, then it will never be satisfied. Suppose there is a desirable object and then you have no desire for that, then what is the use? There is no sambandha, isn't it? So here, yajna sambandha means I have a desire for a particular worship, and for that worship I need a thing, and that thing must be available, and the two of us, that is me the worshipper and the thing which is used for to be worshipped, must come together. And the sambandha is that there is a worship to be done. So when all these things combine, the desire which is the one which connects, So what is the connecting force here between the two objects? It is the desire, the kama. What is the kama here? The kama is, I have to worship Lord Shiva. That is the kama. And this kama is very different from the ordinary desires. In the ordinary desires, what happens? As soon as a desired object is obtained, the interest in that desired object wanes and a new desire arises. But here, this particular relationship of a desire is where the kama itself gets absorbed. It is called as kama sayujya. So when such a relationship, such a sambandha is established between the entity which is doing the worship, the object of worship, the desire to have the object of worship dissolves desire itself. Can you see the depth of this anuvaka? It's extraordinary anuvaka, and then much to meditate on this. And that's also the reason why it is the last anuvaka of Chamaka Prashna also. And then, so then what is that kama which dissolves kama itself? What happens when you actually do a homa? All the ingredients that you offer in the oblations you offer into the homa, everything reduces to only one, which is the ash, the vibhuti. It's not just ash. We call it as the vibhuti. Vibhuti means glory. So what is the glory of this Rudra Yajna? The glory of the Rudra Yajna is that it is the end of all kamas. Okay. Now let us look at the link to Vedanta. What exactly is the culmination of all kamas? When do we actually feel that we have attained all the desires in the creation that we need? It is when we realize ourself. So when the Atma Kama takes place, when the Atma Kama is obtained, when you have discovered yourself and you have become merged with that, all the kamas are completely dissolved. And this is exactly what the central message of this Anuvaka is. Now, when you have gone to that state, but still I am alive, because as a Jivan Mukta, the life force is still there. So when you come back and actually interact with the world, what is your attitude? Chatasraschame. That means you will be actually experiencing all the Purusharthas with Yajna Buddhi only. Chatasra means 4. Dharmartha Kama Moksha, you will be experiencing it as a Yajna. And then Ashta cha Ashtau cha me, it is 4 Vedas and the 4 Upavedas, 8. Then you have got Dvadasha cha me, 6 Angas and 6 Darshanas, which we have seen in the Shastra Vichara very, very beginning. So you can refer to the earliest of the lectures on Shastra Vichara. Then the Shodasha cha me also refers in Yoga Shastra as Mahaya Siddhis. You can see, refer to the 3rd chapter of the Yoga Sutra. It gives you what are all the 16 Mahasidhis that one can get. For example, the 5 Pancha Jnanendriya Siddhi, Pancha Karmendriya Siddhi, Vak Shakti, and so many of those lists are seen in Yoga Shastra. Paroksha Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of architecture, and then climate, that's meteorology, all these things become for the sake of Yajna. Then the Aparoksha Brahma Vidya is the 16th that Yoga Shastra talks about. Vimshati, Panchabhutas, Panchatanmatras, we talked about that already. And now we come to the set of 24, that is चतुर्विंशतिश्च मे अष्टाविंशतिश्च मे चतुर्विंशतिश्च मे. The 24 are the 24 aksharas of Gayatri meter. Ashtavigamshatischa me, the 28 letters of the Ushnik meter. The Dvatrigamshacha me, 32 of the Anushtup. Shattrigamshacha me, 36 of the Brihati Chandas. Then Chattvarigamshacha me, Pankti Chandas of 40. Chatuschattvarigamshacha me, 44 of the Trishtup Chandas. Ashtachattvarigamshacha me, 48 Jagati Chandas. So 7 sets of the Vaidika Chandas, which we talked elaborately when we did the Chandas Darshana. You can refer to my earlier talk on the Chandas. So these 7 Chandas are critical for all Yajna Karya. May these 7 Chandas also bless me, so that when I chant this mantra, let there be that Agni in my walk. Let there be the brilliance of Aditya. And therefore, this Anuvaka also indicates Adityatmaka Rudra, that is as energy giving as the sun, and the Vak Shakti, and as Vak Shakti he is Agni Atmaka Rudra. So then we are left with another 12 Vajaschame, which we will take up in the next week.